I guess I was 38, turning 39 when Angie's House came into my life, but I was living in Tennessee. I've been an alcoholic forever, but a functional alcoholic up to that point. And it got to the point where I was losing my apartment. I had lost my job. I was stuck in Tennessee. I was just a broke down alcoholic. And I had my dog, who is now 11, so I'd had her forever. And she was basically the only thing that really mattered in my life besides my father, who lived out of state as well. And so everything was coming to an end, and I ended up just on the road for a few months. And when I ran out of cash, my savings was gone. I had agreed with my father that the best idea was for me to find a halfway house that I could stay at. He would pay the rent for a couple months, and I would get on my feet and make a valid attempt at quitting drinking. And because my drinking had just progressed over the years. And so everyone was at the conclusion there was no way I was going to find a place to stay with Gladys, my dog. And I would have laid in a cornfield and drank myself to death before I left my dog. Like, absolutely not. So, like I was telling them, I Googled pet-friendly halfway houses, and Angie's House came up in Cottonwood, Arizona. I'd never been to Arizona, never even heard of Cottonwood. And I made the phone call. And I told her about Gladys and my situation, and that I needed a halfway house to stay in and to try to quit drinking, that I wanted to stay sober. And she accepted me right there over the phone. And Gladys and I got onto a Greyhound bus in Oceanside, California, and rode for 3 days and got dropped off at the Walmart in Cottonwood, Arizona, which is the smallest town I've lived in ever in my life by far. And that's where it started. And she met us at the house. Gladys walked right on up. Everyone's afraid of my dog because she's so big, and she's just a big clumsy dog to have around. And Angie was super friendly with the dog. I think she's the best person with dogs I've ever met in my life, the most accepting person of dogs and of people. People joke that she collects people and dogs. But anyway, so she gave me a place to stay. I started over from there. Obviously, it's a halfway house. It's a sober living environment. She has multiple different kinds of houses that are sober living environments, but that's the key to them all. They're all sober living. And from there, I got a job in Cottonwood. I didn't have a driver's license at the time. I had multiple DUIs in Tennessee. Everything was broke. Everything was lost. And so I got a job in Cottonwood. I never thought I would say this, but I made 1 million friends living at her house. Some of the best people I've ever met in my life. Still to this day, my best friends. Her house didn't just give me like a roof over my head. It gave me sober friends, a support system, people to come home to at night and stay sober with and have a good time with. Whereas I would have just, been alone and drinking had I been by myself. I became financially stable and was able to move out a long time ago. But I stayed for an entire year when I didn't have to be there, specifically because of the support system and the fact that I knew that I would be able to stay sober living there. And I also knew that the longer I stayed sober, the easier it would be to stay sober once I was on my own. And so I chose to stay at Angie's House for a full year, and I just moved out last week.